so we don't miss a moment. And tonight we're going to have Angela Bowman walk us through some very cool things that she's put together. Kind of run through the agenda, if you will. The meetup's going to be 90 minutes long, and we'll try to hold tight to that, so that, because people have schedules and probably in some places want to eat dinner. If you don't mind, put your video on, help us get to know you and maybe feel more part of. And but please, when you're not talking, please mute your mic, so that when dogs barking or doorbells ringing or phones ringing won't really interrupt. As I mentioned before, we're recording this evening, and in the next day or two, after tomorrow or the next day, over the weekend for sure, I will share a link for the recording, so that you can go back and review all the great stuff that we're going to learn tonight. And let's see, this is our agenda. We'll go through, do the introductions, and I went ahead and changed the wording on this, Angela, to match what you had put. So I think we're in good shape there. She's going to show us how to use Advanced Custom Fields Pro in the Elementor WooCommerce product and archive templates. So that should be really interesting. And then as time allows, we'll do Q&A. So I'm Carrie. I think, well, I said this at the beginning, I believe, but since some other people have come in, I'm Carrie. I'm one of the hosts, and Brian is the other host. This guy waving your hand. And our guest speaker tonight is Angela Bowman. She hails from Boulder, Colorado. I'll let Angela tell you more about herself when she starts. And I think we are probably ready for you to start, Angela. Let me stop sharing my screen, and then you can share yours.
Okay. And I'm going to drag my Zoom over to my other screen so I can see people. And I can also see the chat, I think, over there too. But yeah, let me know if anyone has a question, because I won't be looking at this other monitor so much. So thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. I run the, oops, I don't want to do that. I run the Elementor Boulder Meetup, which you're all welcome to attend. And that is the first Tuesday of every month at noon Mountain Time. And my meetup thinks I'm cheating on them now that I've come to yours twice in 2 months in a row. They're like, and I haven't done these presentations for them, so I guess I have my agenda for after the holidays set. But in case you missed last month, maybe Carrie will be able to provide links to both videos if you have them when you do send that out.
Yep, I can do that. I'll put that in the chat here. Give me just a sec.
And then I put the slides from last month in there, because this is really building on what I talked about last month, but I'll try to review a little bit. And I will be talking about using Elementor, of course, to build WooCommerce templates, but mostly focusing on how to use advanced custom fields in the mix, which just gives you extra information you can add to your product pages or your archive pages. So yeah, I think Carrie did a good job with the introduction. I've been using WordPress since 2007. So I had built static HTML sites using like Dreamweaver and Front Page back in the day. and discovered WordPress in 2007. It was just so cool to have a database and navigation that just kind of automatically happened. And but it was harder. It was harder, but simpler at the same time. It's kind of interesting how that works. Sites have gotten so much more complicated, but at the same time, some things have gotten easier because you don't have to code as much. So all the things I'm showing you tonight are things that I used to have to code all in PHP templates or using hooks, WooCommerce hooks. And so I am going to show you tonight one WooCommerce hook because you have to know it. If you're going to build WooCommerce sites for clients, you kind of need to start to learn some of the WooCommerce templates and hooks. And it's the only way you're going to really move forward as a developer with WooCommerce theming. But Elementor certainly makes it a lot easier and a lot faster. I'm redoing a site right now that I built the old-fashioned way with just using all the hooks, and doing an Elementor was like, wow, that was quick. Now I'm done. It's kind of awesome. I am also the co-organizer of the Boulder WordPress Meetup, and we meet the third Monday of each month, and that's a WordPress Foundation sponsored meetup. I was just approached to ask if I want to run an WooCommerce Boulder Meetup, and that might be a little much for me, but I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah, Brian, was that you? Yeah, or Carrie, yeah. I actually did run 3 meetups up until COVID hit, and I cut back to 2. I'm also co-host of the Women in WordPress podcast. We'd love for you to tune in. We've talked to some pretty amazing people who are involved in the community and involved with WordPress core, and just kind of fabulous people all from just about every part of the world. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to, our end result is on the left. We're going to add some more information to the product pages. And we're going to create a sizing chart pop-up. You know, if you've ever been on a clothing site and you're ordering a product and there's an option, like a little link where you click and it shows a pop-up for the sizing chart. We'll create one of those because I think that's handy to know how to do that with Elementor in a WooCommerce template. And we're going to create a category banner image for the product categories. So you can choose a unique banner image for every category. And we're also going to add a product tagline to the product grid on the product category pages. And that's the one we're going to use the hook. And so how we're going to do this are the bullets, where we're going to create some custom fields for the WooCommerce product page. We're going to add those custom fields to our template. We're also going to create what's called an advanced custom fields options template. And an options template is advanced custom fields that are not associated with any post type of any sort. They're just options that can be queried from any part of, from any template, from anywhere. They're not part of like the post loop. So it's a way to get kind of more global options set where you want users to be able to enter and control some content that you would otherwise probably think that you need to just hard code in some PHP somewhere. So that's what we're going to use for our sizing chart pop-up. And then we're going to add some custom fields to a pop-up. We're going to trigger that pop-up with a link on the product page. We're going to create the custom field for the product page that holds the banner, add that custom field to the product archive template. And then we're going to do this hooks thing. So we're basically going to touch 3 templates. We're going to touch the single product template, the archive template, and a pop-up. And we're going to create 3 separate advanced custom fields, one for, or field sets, one for single product, one for the archive, and one for the global settings. Does that sound good? Are you guys excited? Wave your hands. Okay. Have any of you done this before? Like, put in the chat if you've done anything like this before. I should bring up the chat here. No one's done this before, but you're excited, right? To do it. Well, that's good.
Yes, ma'am.
Because sometimes I kind of worry, like, if it weren't for Elementor, this would be a little intimidating, honestly. So with Elementor, I want to make this as unintimidating as possible so that you feel like, oh, I can do that. So I'm going to try to go slow too. Okay, so what you'll need is you do need Elementor Pro. To do any sort of WooCommerce templates with Elementor, you do have to have Elementor Pro. The Advanced Custom Fields Pro, you do need Advanced Custom Fields Pro because for the WooCommerce, to be able to do advanced custom fields for the WooCommerce products. So it's well worth the investment. And with the Advanced Custom Fields Pro, you can use that on unlimited sites. Whereas the Elementor Pro is just for one site, though I have the 1000 site license. If you're building a lot of sites, I recommend that, and then just pass the costs onto your clients. Optional is this dynamic conditions plugin from dynamic.oo. Oh, I'm sorry, not that. The optional, I'm saying the first one is the free plugin, Dynamic Conditions. That one I'm not going to work with today, but I can talk about it. What I will be working with today that's also optional is Dynamic Content plugin from Dynamic.oo. This is only needed if you're going to do more advanced custom fields, like I think if someone has their mic on, they.
I took care of it, I think.
No, you muted
Angela.
Oh,
Whoops. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Am I good now? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
So the dynamic content plugin will allow you to work with advanced custom fields that are more advanced. And those are like repeater and relational fields and also galleries. There's a few field types for advanced custom fields that you really can't work with Elementor without this dynamic content plugin. But if you have that dynamic content plugin, the world is your oyster. It lets you do all this cool dev work, basically development work, without having to be a developer. Having some development background helps because then you kind of understand the possibilities of what you can do once you see the inside of that plugin. Okay, so I'm going to pop out of these slides because I want to just show this all to you in the actual dashboard because that's going to make a lot more sense. Let's see. So I'm going to move my slides window out of the way. But I'm going to look at my slides, and you can look at my slides if you have room to look at the slides and the screen share, because my slides are kind of my agenda. Okay, so again, the plugins that we need to start are Elementor Pro and Advanced Custom Fields Pro. So I have Advanced Custom Fields Pro installed. I've set up my license in the updates area. I've added my license, so it's all working and it's good. After you install Advanced Custom Fields Pro, you'll have a new area in your dashboard under settings that just says custom fields. So the first thing we're going to do is create what's called a field group. And this will be just a group of fields. And I'm going to create a group of fields that I'm going to use on the product, the single product page. So, so I know what this field group is related to. I'm going to call it product details. It's like, oh, these are the product details. And an important setting to set before you even start to add fields to this group is where is this group going to show up? By default, Advanced Custom Fields has it just show up with posts. Well, we don't want to do that. We actually want to have it just show up with products, so single products. So that's our product details. And I think I actually did add in the slides, I added one more location, which is just to, as an example, is maybe I only want this to show up when the product category is clothing. So this would be if you find that you have different categories of products and you have different types of information that you want to add to the single products based on what category they're in, you could certainly create different field groups for different categories. Most of the time when I'm doing this, I'm just using the same field group for all products. So I'm not limiting it to just a specific category. But for the case of this demo, I'll go ahead and just show it only on the clothing category. So this hasn't done anything yet. We've just said, here's the name of our field group. Here's where we want it to show. Now let's add some fields. So a couple fields I want to add to my products is I'm calling Tagline. All WooCommerce products have the excerpt, which is kind of a short description of the product, but I had a client who just really wanted not just the excerpt, but they wanted a super kind of pithy tagline for the product, some kind of little sale pitch for the product. So I'm going to call this Tagline, and it's automatically going to give it a field name. Often when I'm working with clients, this field name is kind of a unique ID for this field. I really want to make sure that whatever I put for this field name doesn't inadvertently get confused with any other plugins that might have their own metadata that uses the same. So sometimes if it's for a client, I might preface the field name with the client's initials. So one of my client's initials is MC, and I might refer to that field name as MC underscore. Or I might say like product tagline. Or, you know, this is my WooCommerce site, so I might do WC underscore product tagline. It's just like I would just try to make that field name, since it's used as a type of ID, somewhat unique. So that's one field. It's a text field. When you're adding fields to your field group, you have a lot of fields to choose from. You can do color pickers, you can do Google Maps, you can do dates, you can do images and files and WYSIWYG editors and embeds for videos. What if you want to have a video on all of your WooCommerce product pages that shows how the product works? You can put an embed field, and people can just put the YouTube URL in there or Vimeo URL. And that'll just work. You can do a WYSIWYG editor. So there's a lot of options for the types of fields that you can add to your products. And I'm keeping this very simple by just adding a text field, but I want you to be aware of all the other cool stuff you can do. When you get into these relational fields, that's where you really have to have the dynamic conditions plugin to be able to query those in your Elementor templates. Okay, so this is just a simple text field. Easy peasy, right? Okay. And then I am going to do one of these complicated fields because I want to show you how the dynamic the dynamic content plugin works. I'm going to do a repeater field. And I got this idea for this repeater field from Lululemon, which is yoga kind of clothing accessory store. Everyone in Boulder just wears yoga clothes all the time. Lululemon had this interesting details about the products, like some other information about the products that wasn't really, it was kind of interesting descriptive text about the product. And I thought, well, how would I, create this ability to be able to add this extra product information to like an Elementor template? So I thought, well, I could use what's called a repeating field, where who's ever doing the data entry can just, add these qualities to the product. So I'm going to call this, what do they call this? They call this, product features, I think. Let me create a field called product features. And this is going to be one of those fancy fields. This is going to be a repeater field. Where's my repeater there it is. Okay. So repeater field is fields within a field. You can have multiple columns, and we're going to do that with our sizing chart, where we're going to have the size and then the measurement. For this, we're just going to have one field within our field, and I'm going to call this description. And the field name, I don't want it just to be description because that could conflict with other types of field metadata on the site. So I'm going to say, call it product feature description. It's just going to be also just a plain text field. And when we see this on the product page, you'll be able to see how we can repeat that. So for now, I'm going to close these fields. I have a tagline field and a repeater product features field. These fields are going to show up on edit product pages when they're in the clothing category. Let's click publish. And now let's go to our products. And we probably want to open a product that's actually in the clothing category so we can see that as an option. And do you see where we have the product details now? So that's what the plugin does, is it provides you this meta box. Now, back in the old days, when I was teaching this, I would teach people how to create this whole box and these options in PHP. That wasn't so fun. So this is much easier. So for the tagline logo collection, we'll say, let's call this conference favorite. That's kind of like our elevator pitch for this product. And the product features, I love some of these words they've used on Lululemon. Four-way stretch feels cool and smooth. How about, okay. So I added a row. I'll call this four-way stretch. Feels cool and smooth. What else do they have here? Sweat wicking. Cool. So now we have some extra information about our product. It's not going to show up anywhere. It's just now being stored as metadata in the database with the product post. If we view the product, I haven't even applied a WooCommerce template to this yet. This is actually a grouped product, so this can be interesting to lay out. This is the default generate press template. Let's go ahead and create a Elementor template for this product. So we go to templates, theme builder. I had created some draft product templates. I'm going to do one from fresh. So I usually go to single products so I can remember, oh yeah, I'm going to create a single product template. If you click add new, it's like it knows, oh yeah, we're creating a single product template. If that hadn't been chosen, be sure to choose single product. We'll say single product. Or I could have called it just product template. You can call your templates whatever you want. Elementor has some nice pre-designed templates. We could certainly, work with one of these. Go ahead and sometimes it's nice to start with one of these. You could certainly start from scratch. But to save time, we'll just start with one of the Elementor templates. And one thing that's really helpful when you first start to work with the advanced custom fields is to set your preview settings. If you click the gear icon in the Elementor area, it's on the lower left corner, way down here. You can go to preview settings, and it would be really helpful if we used our logo collection, the product that we just added those custom fields to, because then, actually I'll wait to save that. Then we'll actually be able to see our custom fields. So you can't see your custom fields if you're using you're previewing a product that you haven't added that information to. So the first thing that we had created was the tagline. Let's add the tagline to our template. And in my presentation I did last month, I talked about all of the widgets that you can use with your Elementor layout. So be sure to watch that video and check out, you know, how you can modify your template or create a template from scratch by just dragging all these product widgets onto your Elementor layout. Since we're using a pre-made layout, most of those things are already in here for us. So I'm going to go down to a text editor widget and drag that into this area. It's populated with lorem ipsum. We don't need that. What we want to do is click the dynamic tags. This is what's going to let you connect to advanced custom fields. So click dynamic tags, scroll down, way down, and you'll see ACF field. And you'll click that. It's so confusing. It's so confusing because you do that and it's like, okay, did I do something? Did I not do something? You actually, once you choose ACF field, you have to click it again and then actually choose the field that you want to use. And I do have a screenshot of this. So we want to show the tagline field, and there it is. And we publish, add our condition. We want it to show, I set that to draft. Why is it still saying I can't use that? Let me go ahead and delete that template that I was using before. That's silly that it wants to see my draft templates. Access denied. Well, okay, now I think it'll save it. No, okay. Let me exit out of here. Oh, is it going to let me even save it? Oops. Go to display. I'm going to take out this display condition so we can at least save our work. Save and close. Wow, well, that's so much fun. Fun with Elementor. Let's exit to the dashboard and see. We might have to add. Oh, did it just throw? Oh, it just threw. I'm sorry. When I tossed everything in the trash, it was seeing my template that I had just been working on. I accidentally threw my template we were working on in the trash. Oh, okay. Let's restore that. Now we should be able to save. This is the great thing about being live. Okay, now we get to demo that again. We'll get our text editor, delete the lorem ipsum, go to dynamic tags, scroll down to ACF, and you gotta click it again, choose tagline. Now we can actually see our tagline, click publish, add our condition to include on all the product pages, and save. We are going to add that repeater field in here as well. But let's have a look to see how I don't like that the preview mode for Elementor often doesn't show the featured image for the product. So if you actually want to see what this looks like, you need to go look at the product. And this is under clothing. We have the logo collection, and there we have our custom field. Back at the Elementor template, now I want to add the those product features, the slick and soft, all those qualities. And you know, maybe this is saying this is a grouped product. Maybe I don't really care about this information in the template. I don't know if all of you know about the navigator. Is a way to easily get to all the areas of your Elementor template so that you don't have to kind of dig through and click on the right thing. So that's actually the short description. That may not be bad. Maybe we want our product features to be, you know, below the price, or maybe with the short description. I think I want it to be near our short description, so I don't need all this padding, and can get rid of some padding here. And now I want to add that repeater field that shows all those product features. That is going to be available with the dynamic content plugin. And when you have the dynamic content plugin installed, if you type ACF, it will bring up all the fancy ACF things that you can do, including the repeater field. So we'll put that in here. And now it says we'll select a repeater field. Okay. It automatically found my product features repeater, since it's the only repeater field I have on the site. And it's putting my values into columns, which isn't ideal. So I'm going to go to render and say, instead of showing in grid, just show it to me in a list. So now I have my lovely product features, and maybe I just want those product features to display. Why this? Oh, the short description probably has some padding after that paragraph. I usually put some CSS to prevent paragraph margins from being added everywhere on the site, but I'm just going to put a negative margin to bring that up a bit. So now I have my short description, I have my product features, and that's cool. I have a nice templated way to control that. If I wanted to, I could, looks like this styles the icons, so the bullets can be styled. If that's, yeah, I think there's a lot of different styling options for the ACF repeater field, so you can play around with kind of what kind of icons you want to use for your list style. You could do a numbered list too. There's also abilities with the ACF repeater you could have it be a table. You could actually have repeater items that have images. And so like an image and a description, it can show in a grid. There's just a lot of possibilities for this repeater field. So I highly recommend the plugin, and you'll find a lot of uses for it. In this case, a simple list layout works great. So that is using one simple and one complex advanced custom field on a single product template. Are there any questions so far?
Angela, I have a question. This is Courtney.
Yeah.
The second example that you showed, if you didn't have that second plugin, could you have done it the same way that you did the first?
Well, in that case, what I would have done is if I really didn't want to use the dynamic content plugin, you wouldn't be able to use the ACF repeater. So what you could have done is just created a WYSIWYG field and just typed your bullets in a WYSIWYG field, if that's ultimately how you were going to display them.
Okay.
I do want to say I wouldn't use this for anything that's qualitative, like that you would want to filter on. If you want to create some attributes that people could filter on their site. For example, Lululemon has these filters, like types of activity and size, sizes and colors and features, these type of features that are across many products. I would use what's called global attributes in WooCommerce and not use like any sort of advanced custom fields for those kind of things, because the attributes are going to get you the ability to filter. And that's already built into WooCommerce, so you don't really need advanced custom fields for this kind of functionality. So more, this is like, how do we get some of this stuff, like these details, those aren't really filterable kind of things. They're just like these fun details, and that's definitely a great use of advanced custom fields. I've also used advanced custom fields in the tabbed content in Elementor, which this doesn't really have that kind of thing. This functionality here, this could work with advanced custom fields. If you wanted to, you could have groups of kind of, you can use repeater fields where you'd have a title and you'd have the content. Might be in a WYSIWYG editor to kind of create something like this. You could potentially do with repeater and advanced custom fields. So, and that dynamic content plugin actually has a function that kind of does this open close feature as well. So, any other questions about the single product template? And Doug, yes, ACF supports Vimeo links and YouTube links for the OEmbed. If you go to WordPress OEmbed, WordPress OEmbed documentation will tell you all of the OEmbeds that WordPress supports. And so therefore the OEmbed with ACF will support all of those OEmbed file types as well. So there's sound files and different things that are supported by OEmbed. Okay, so let's see. What do I have? Yes.
I have a quick question. You mentioned that you will need to have the customer field pro to use it on WooCommerce features. I mean, like,
Yes.
do we really need to have it, or we can have just a regular, the free one? Will the free one still work? What's the difference?
So
maybe?
the free one, I don't believe will let you add custom fields to WooCommerce products.
Okay.
So let's see. That's more of a support.
I know the free one doesn't have certain, like it doesn't have
the
repeater fields.
relational in the repeater, but
Yeah.
I don't think that you can oh yeah, this is kind of getting into the weeds. I don't think the ACF free will let you choose the WooCommerce product. We could certainly try it.
Yeah, because I have a free one. I haven't really explored it that much, but it seems like it has the same features as a pro one. Not really sure. I haven't really.
No, yeah. There's some things that it doesn't do. So
Yeah.
we can test that. Where is just regular ACF on here? Oh, I think I'm gonna have to type it all out. There we go.
Thank you.
So I deactivated my pro version.
Mhm.
I'm going to go to my custom fields group, look at my product details. Oh, it looks like you can use the free one on WooCommerce. So, but see how it's saying untyped known for the relational. So I don't get my relational one.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah. So I'm sorry. I will correct the slide. So you can use the free one with WooCommerce products.
This is a mistake that I have. Sometimes you build things with Elementor Pro, and you like I don't have the big license, but you can deactivate the Pro, and the Pro thing will still be there. You just can't edit it. So you may not have actually shown that you just because that's still there. That may be
I think
you put it in with Pro, and it won't go away once you deactivate Pro. But
well, it does. Like the repeater went away. The type was unknown.
Oh right, no, I'm just.
But yeah, I think it would have. I think it would have defaulted to post if we couldn't assign it to a product that wouldn't have been available. So, so yeah, I hear what you're saying about that, but it looks like it might work. So yeah, give it a try with the free first. If you don't need the fancy repeater fields, you can do so much with just text and WYSIWYG fields and the OEmbed and all the straightforward fields with the with the regular custom fields. So, you know, and if anyone finds anything different, let me know, but I think that will work.
Thank you
So
very
I
much.
have, yeah, I'm glad you asked. Okay. So moving on to, so we've got our product. We created our single template. We did our repeater field. Okay, so now what I'd like to do is like on the Lululemon site, they have the size guide. It's like, that's super great to do a pop-up, but I wouldn't want to create a repeater field or a WYSIWYG field or however you'd want to do that and have to repeat that on every single product. What if I had 200 products? I wouldn't want to have to do that data entry on every single product of the site. I want to do that data entry in one place and show that content on all my products, or my select products, but only have to do it from one place. So to do that, I found, and this is only a pro feature for advanced custom fields, not that you couldn't find a different way to do this. And the reason I'm using, you really wouldn't have to do this with advanced custom fields at all. You could just create a pop-up and a table and make this happen. This was just by way of giving you a demo of a repeater field and using it as in a pop-up, but there's many ways to skin a cat, and you don't have to do it this way. But I wanted to at least give you the option of having some sort of global options with advanced custom fields, because it does kind of help with managing things a little bit. So sometimes we just have to invent things for demonstration purposes. But to create an options page using ACF, we do have to use a piece of PHP before we can create an options area that is outside of a post or page. And the only piece of code you need is this function that I've linked to on slide 11. And you copy that. Typically, I paste this function into my child themes functions.php file. I feel for like a lot of people who are building these kind of sites and aren't really getting into necessarily building a bunch of a child theme or getting into editing files. One way you can avoid having to edit files is by installing a plugin called Code Snippets. Code Snippets by Code Snippets Pro. I find this plugin to be just super helpful for adding PHP or JavaScript to your site without having to edit files. And they provide a bunch of examples of code snippets that you might find useful. In this case, I'm going to click Add New, and I'm going to call this my product options code snippet, so I can kind of remember what this is for. I might say for a description, this is not going to be seen by anyone except me, adding ACF options page to WordPress. Maybe if I don't want to forget where I got this documentation, maybe I'll add this link. It's like, oh yeah, that's where I got that. That's how I know. If you get a function or a code snippet from like Stack Overflow, maybe you want to put the URL to where you found it on Stack Overflow if you need to refer to it, or from a developer's site. I think that's really helpful. This is a function that only has to run in the admin area of the site, because what it's going to do is just give us a little extra area on the dashboard for adding in more content for our shop manager to manage. So click Save Changes and Activate. Hopefully I don't blow up my site, because now that's going to run, and if there were some errors, I guess it could cause problems. But what that did is it created this little area here that says Options. Options doesn't have anything in it. It is saying, hey, why don't you create a custom field group to be able to use these options. So go ahead and create my custom field group. This is going to be a field group just like we created for the single product page, but this time we're going to create it to show up in this options area. And I want to call this field group is going to be sizing charts. And I might have several sizing charts in here. Right now, I'm just going to do like sizing chart for shirts, for like t-shirts. So I'm going to create a field and call this shirt sizing. And it's going to be one of those repeater fields. And the reason I'm using a repeater field is it just makes it easy to create 2 columns of content. You could do this with a table. You could do this with, yeah, I guess you could do it with a table, and that would be totally fine. So the first field is going to be size. It's going to be a text field. My next field is going to be, let's see, I guess it would be measurement. And it's also going to be a text field. And then for that, I'm going to, these fields really get in the way because they're so big. So for where this is going to show is different. It's not going to show on the product page. I want it to show down here in this options area. And so the option for that is says options page. And I just use the default name for the options page, which is options, but you can have multiple options pages here. I just have this one. It's going to show there. Click publish. And now when we go to options, we have at least one shirt sizing. So maybe in the future, I'll also have pant sizing, shoe sizing, belt sizing. You know, I might have multiple sizing charts in here. So the same way that we did our little soft and sweetie thing with the product features, I'm going to add a row. And let's start with like size 6 small. And maybe that's 32. This is like bust measurement, so like 32 inches. Size 7 medium, and that's 34. Or actually, that would be, yes, we go in odd sizes. Large, and we'll just do up to XL. So 38 inches, and then update. Okay, so now we have a sizing chart. It's not going to show up anywhere until I tell it to show up somewhere. Where I want it to show up is like on the Lululemon site. I want it to show up on my product grid so people can click on it and look at it. But I want it to show up in a pop-up. So that was like a full screen pop-up that Lululemon has. So first I'm going to create my pop-up. Go to templates, pop-ups. And again, you do not have to use an options field. You do not have to do anything that I just did to create a pop-up to show on an Elementor template. You could just create a pop-up and put whatever you want in it. So here, click Add New, Pop-up. This is going to be my sizing chart for shirts. Create the template. I found the pre-existing templates aren't super helpful in this case, so I'm just going to close that. And it gives me, Elementor gives me a little area to design my pop-up. And we'll just create a single column pop-up. First thing I probably want to have is a heading. And the heading will be shirt sizing chart. And then the next thing I want to do is, again, one of those ACF repeater fields, because I'm going to pull in that sizing chart repeater field. And it says, please select the repeater field. And now it actually gives me an option of all the repeaters it sees on the site. So yay, I'll just choose my chart, my shirt sizing chart. It automatically puts it into a grid, into columns. I would rather it to be in a table. And so now it's in a table. I want it to show the heading. So it shows size and measurement. And there's not a lot of styling options in here. You could, if you want to get more fancy with the layout of this, is there, there's a way that you can create, trying to think. I would probably just style it with CSS, but you can also create like templates using dynamic content and create more fancy templates for this to display. And it's a little bit more complicated and time consuming, but we'll just kind of go with this default styling. And one thing I might like to do is add some padding around my pop-up. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. That's great. Click publish. And there's no conditions of where this displays because it's going to be triggered off of a click on the product page. So all that we have to do is set the click trigger. Click next, save and close. We're done. Now we want to add that to the product page. So we'll go back to our theme builder, back to our single product page. And now I want to add, let's see. I'm going to use the heading widget, but I'm going to make it into a paragraph tag because it's just the simplest thing to just do a link. And this, I'll title this sizing chart. And now here, the dynamic content is going to be via the link. We'll click dynamic tags, and then the action will be the pop-up. And just like the ACF, it just populates pop-up in there, but you haven't had a chance to tell it which pop-up you want. So you need to click pop-up again and type the name of your pop-up and choose it, and then click update. One thing, I don't know if I put a close icon on there. Let's take a look at our product page. Yeah, there is a close icon. And there we have a sizing chart. So again, I didn't have to go through that whole ordeal of creating an options page for this, but the nice thing I like about this is that it keeps the client, like my client, if I had a client, it keeps my clients out of the templates. I kind of don't like clients in the pop-up templates. I don't like clients in the templates at all. By using an advanced custom field for those sizing charts, if the clients need to add a sizing chart or need to edit the sizes within a chart, they can go to this options area and they're not going to mess with any of the templates. And that's why I love using custom fields for any kind of options I need to use anywhere on the site. It keeps them out of trouble. Does anyone have any questions just about that in general? Does anyone think that they would use this feature, that they might do global options at some point to control, make it easy for people to access content? I've been using this on one client's site where they have lots of content on the homepage that they can choose from. And so I've created a whole options template that gets queried on the homepage, just so they're not, just because the layout is really complicated, it helps. They can just go to this one spot, choose their images and their little text, and it will automatically show on the homepage. I don't have to worry about them messing up the HTML or anything. So it's just a little handy piece. Oops, wrong presentation. Let's get out of here. So now, the other thing I want to show you is creating an archive banner image. So the archive pages are pretty boring in WooCommerce. It's just a grid of products. And lots of my clients have liked putting banner images on their archive pages, but they want a different banner image for every category on their store. They want to choose a different banner image. And with WooCommerce products, the categories, by default, there is an image that you can use for the categories. And this featured image, if you will, for the categories is really helpful if you have like a shop all page and you are wanting to show a grid of all your categories. But these square little images aren't going to make great banners. And so what I have come to do is create another custom field group that's just used on the product categories to set a banner image and maybe maybe a tagline, maybe some other information related to the category through the advanced custom fields. So again, we'll go to custom fields. We'll add a new group. This group we're going to call product category details. And this group is going to show when the post taxonomy, actually, let's see, it's actually taxonomy. The post taxonomy or taxonomy, the taxonomy is a product category. So that is the text. It will only show on when you're editing a product category. And the field I'm going to add is an image field. And I will call this the category banner image. In order for this image to work properly, the return format needs to be image array because we're also going to set a fallback image. And the fallback image is the image that's going to be used if for some reason they didn't set a category banner image on a category page. And for some reason it doesn't work if either of these other two formats are used as the data that's being returned by the advanced custom field. I learned this hard way. I beat my head against this for about a week and figured it out about midnight last night, and then I could go to bed. Okay, so we'll publish our category details. And again, we just have a banner image field that's only going to show up on our category pages. So if you go to products, categories, and edit any of the categories, we'll just edit the clothing category. We now have a field. I actually put something in there, but you'll have this new field, category banner image. Yay, that's super cool. So we still have the thumbnail for the category that can be used in your category grids, but now we have another area where we can actually upload a banner image. So I'm going to choose for this category this image and update. Now I haven't created a template yet for my categories. So we'll go to Theme Builder, Products Archive, Add New. And there are some nice pre-made templates that you can use. We can choose one of these, insert it on the page, or you can design your own. You get lots of options when you're on, not a lot, I guess I shouldn't say a lot. You get three things you can add to your Elementor custom archive templates, which is the archive title, the archive description, and the archive products grid. So it is a little bit limited. One tip I have for you for the archive title is that I really don't like that it says the word archives before the category name. So if you click archive title, just turn off this include context and you'll just get the archive, the category name. So pro tip, write that down. Now I want to add my banner. So add a new section. And I want this banner image not to just be an image in a section, but I want it to fill the whole page. So I want it to be the background of the section. So under the Style tab for the background of that section, choose background type classic. And then if you hover over this image area, you'll see that familiar stacking disk thing for the dynamic tags. Again, we'll choose our ACF. It's automatically, because we're already in an image field, going to only show you ACF fields that are image fields. So we'll click ACF image field. Again, we think it did something, but it didn't. It hasn't let us choose our field. We need to click again and choose the category banner image, which is the only one that we have right now. And then we want to set a fallback image. If we don't have a fallback image, what will happen is there'll just be a big blank space at the top of the page, which won't be great. So choose an image, and maybe our fallback image is this climber image. So if the person hasn't set an image on their category page, they'll get that climbing image instead. I recommend for all background section images that you set the size to cover, because cover will fill the space. If you don't set it to cover, it won't fill the space. One thing I'm going to do to make this look kind of spiffy is drag the archive title up into that area, make it centered, make it white. And then for the section, let's see, let's make sure there's no padding or margin on there. There we go. For this section, I'll add some padding, maybe 100 pixels top and bottom. So then we have a nice nifty banner. Maybe I want that archive title to be just a little bit bigger. Okay. We'll publish, we'll add a condition. This will show on all product archives. Save and close. And now view the live site. Let's go to our shop page and click on one of our categories. We have our t-shirts category. It's showing the fallback image. Our clothing's category, where we set our banner, is showing the image that we set. Banner images are kind of hard. You do need to pick appropriate images, and or either have your banner be a little tall. Maybe we're like, well, you know, we have these really cool images, and maybe we need a little more padding so they show up nicer on our archives pages. So there we go. That's a little cooler. So I think that's a really useful thing that I do on most of my sites, is have that ACF field for the banner image. You could also do something similar for your product pages, to specify a banner image for your product pages. And I have clients where on there, they do mountaineering courses, and we really want to showcase the locations throughout the world, these beautiful mountain sceneries. So we have big banner image on top of our product pages that's just glorious. And I'm using ACF field on the product pages for that as well. And it's super cool. So any questions about banner images on archive pages? Because I just have, after this, I have literally one more trick to show you. Are we good to keep going? Yeah, okay. So the last is that with, let's see, where's our cool, we have this, this tagline, conference favorite, that we've added to our single product template. But what if we want that tagline to show on our archive page? The archive pages, this grid here, kind of what shows in here, is pretty limited. There are Jet plugins, Jet Woo Builder. There's some plugins that will let you add more information to what shows in the box here, but I have yet to find a plugin that really lets you add like advanced custom fields and really do a lot of more custom work with this. And this is where learning how to work with WooCommerce hooks, understanding how the WooCommerce template system works, is really helpful. And in the slides, I've provided a hook reference for WooCommerce. I found that if I just download the WooCommerce application and look at all the template files, that it helps me to understand how the how WooCommerce is kind of organized. So I do want to bring up the files for you. Let me go to my downloads and I'll share my screen. I know we're on our last little bit here. So let me go to stop this screen share and show you my Finder window. Okay. So this, when you download WooCommerce from WordPress.org and unzip the zip file, these are the files within WooCommerce. In those files, there is a folder called templates. And these are templates that you can customize. These are all templates that are used to show how all the products and the checkout and the cart and everything displays on WooCommerce. You could copy these templates into a child theme and modify them all. However, the templates are mostly just filled with what we call hooks. And so if I want to start to understand what is driving the archive page, I want to look at the template and see what's in the guts of that template. So in the taxonomy, the product taxonomy template, and this is where, I wonder if I'm just going to have to share my whole screen actually. I'm going to share my whole screen, otherwise I'm going to have to bounce between screens. So we'll share this. Okay. So within the taxonomy template, which is our product template, we're going to see that that's calling for another template. Sorry, I had to restart my computer earlier. Whoever does that anymore, does anyone ever restart their computer? Let's see, my coding application's opening now. Okay, so here's the template for taxonomies. What is it doing? It's calling for yet another template called archive product. Where's archive product? Oh, there's archive product. So let's open up archive product. So what is the archive product doing? Well, it's calling for a wrapper, which would be some divs. It's calling for the breadcrumbs on the page. It's calling for the title of the archive. It's calling for the WooCommerce archive description. And then it has some other stuff that it might output on the page, such as the number of products, the results count, the little widget that lets you order. I'm not showing this screen. Let's see. Are you guys not seeing? Which screen are you seeing?
We're just seeing your, looks like your Google Sheet.
Oh, desktop. Okay. Let me see if it does. Now are you seeing my
There we go.
screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. So the first file I opened was this taxonomy product tag. And what that file shows us is archive product. It's getting the archive product template. So I opened that up. And archive product is really where the guts of what's showing on the archive page is coming from with WooCommerce. It's pulling breadcrumbs, it's pulling the title of the archive, it's pulling the archive description, the results counts, the ordering, and then it's doing this loop. And the loop is what's getting all of the products. And so the loop that the templates that's being used to output the products is a template called content product. So now we can go to the content product template. And this is showing us some really interesting information. We have some, we see where the title of the product is coming, the sales flash, the product thumbnail. We have, actually, I think that was that's the title, the before title, I should say, then the actual title, and then we have an after title hook, and then after the title is hooked in rating and price. And this would be worthy of yet another full presentation, but suffice to say for now, the quick and dirty is that once you start to look at how these templates are organized and you can understand that there are hooks, that's the red items, you can hook your own content into that same area. So WooCommerce is getting ratings and price onto the archive template vis-a-vis this hook that's called WooCommerce after shop loop item title, which is a mouthful. So we can use that same hook that WooCommerce is using, if we know the syntax, to hook in our tagline after the title as well. An important thing to take note of is the order. So the rating has an order of 5. The price has an order of 10. If we go back to our clothing page, if we want to get our on the clothing page, the logo collection. If we want to get our tagline before the price and the rating, what number do we need to use? Can anyone guess the number? I want someone to say something out loud. If the rating's number 5 and the price is number 10, what do we need to use?
7.
7.
That's going to put it between the rating
4.
and the price.
4.
Sure, 4. Sure. Okay. So, what we are going to do is create what's called an add action. I just have to grab the code and paste it into my code, into the code snippets. And this is the grand finale, everyone. So add a new code snippet, and I'm going to say tagline for shop archive, or for product archive loop. You can call this whatever you want. This is for your information. What are you doing here? And I'm going to explain this function. And this is going to be kind of a template, if you will, for any sort of being able to query advanced custom fields and hook them into any place you want in any of these do action areas. So I want to hook my custom field in before the rating. So someone said to use 4. I need to do that. So here's the hook, is WooCommerce after shop loop item title. That corresponds to this red hook that I'm seeing. That is what WooCommerce is using to output the rating and price. I want to get my thing in right there. So I have to say, I want to put it where this is. And I'm going to create my own function called my product tagline. So my product tagline, it's going to come fourth. It's going to come before those. And what my function contains is just some code I got from the ACF site that says, if there's content in the product tagline field, output the product tagline field. So actually I need to make sure I call my field correctly. So maybe I should go back to my fields, my product details, And I called it WC product tagline. So I want to make sure I have that. This is, I'll fix that in my, I realized I have a typo in my slides. Okay, so if there's a product tagline, output it to this after shop loop item title. I want to run, I guess we want to run that everywhere. Let's click save changes and activate. Now, oh gosh, you guys keep your fingers crossed, will you? Because this is it. This is all I got. If this doesn't work, we're in trouble. Okay, so I'm going to refresh. Yay! There it is.
All right.
One clap. That's it. So anyway, so this is where, you know, you can kind of start to read. I would play with it. If you have a dev site somewhere that you can start kind of read up. There's lots of tutorials on using the WooCommerce hooks. Just play with it. Like here, why don't we play with it? Let's do it before the title. I have no idea what this is going to do, but you know, this isn't a live site. So instead of having it go after the title, I'm going to have it go before the title. Refresh and see where that goes. Oh, so that goes above the image. Good to know, right? What about this hook location? Okay, let's use that location. You know, I really had a hard time with hooks, I have to say. And so I spent like 3 hours on a flight from Denver to Seattle, just making myself try and fail to get a hook to work. And then I did, and I'm like, oh, I get it now. So let's try the title. The title is a number 10 priority, and maybe I think we have a number 4. So if maybe what I want to do is have it come after the image, but just before the title. There, okay, so I made that happen. So that's kind of fun. Don't you think that's kind of fun?
Mm-hmm.
This is all the power to you. Once you master this, you don't have to worry, does Elementor do this? Does Elementor do that? You can do it all, and you don't have to worry about a plugin or whatever doing it for you. So you do, with great power comes great responsibility. So you have to know you can break your site badly. So I'd recommend only trying this on a dev site. Make sure you're not having PHP errors or the site doesn't go down. And but I think this this will liberate you a lot. Anyway, let me just share with you a couple resources. Can you see this screen
Yeah.
here? Okay.
Yep.
So in general, you know, this was a good example of just using ACFs with everything I showed you of using advanced custom fields with a single product template. You can use with any post template or anything in Elementor. So this is a really great YouTube that is just generally going to show that to you. This is a YouTube for from the creator of dynamic content on using the repeater fields. And I think, and then there's more advanced, you know, some documentation about his advanced custom fields that you can use with Elementor. Kinsta had a nice blog post that just describes in general what advanced custom fields are and what the different field types are. So I thought that was helpful. And then this is that WooCommerce hook reference that I do want you to be aware of. Like, I kind of have always just dug through the files to find what I need, but you can also, this is an amazing resource where it shows you the template files. Like, these are all the template files. They're just kind of not, I like the way it looks like in the foldering structure because it looks a little more organized. These are all the functions, and then you can actually see where the function executed in the code. So it's a way of looking at all the files without having to have the files downloaded on your computer. But again, I really like looking at the files. So I feel like the files are super helpful. But if you want, this is everything that's in the files all in one place. So okay, I'll stop my
Very
sharing.
cool.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions? Were you lost. Sharon, you're an expert at all this. How was that for you? Not to pick on you. I don't know if you want to.
Oh, you're not picking. It was great. I found that very informative.
Yeah, I really loved your presentation for, I think it was at the Chicago meetup. And now I'm trying to remember where it was. Yeah, that was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, there's so much. I mean, you're just tipping the iceberg. There's just so much to go with WooCommerce.
Yes. But, you know, if you don't know, you maybe could partner with someone to hire someone to help you do some of that advanced stuff. Just know that it's possible.
Yes.
And I would reiterate the idea of using the code snippets because I've had experiences in the past if I would add something to the functions.php file in a child theme and the theme went through some kind of major update, the child theme doesn't work with the new theme. So if you just put it in the snippets, the theme can do whatever it wants to do and it'll still work.
Yeah, I've kind of, I guess the only thing I haven't done is break the site with one of those code snippets because I don't know how well it responds to that. Because at least with a file, you can go edit the file, but if it breaks the site to the point where you can't open your dashboard, so I guess I should try to break it and see.
Snippets actually tests your code before it goes live, so to speak, and will show you errors. Now, maybe not all of them.
Yeah, Angela, a true expert will break the site. You have to learn to break the site in order to fix it.
Well, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that at least with a file, if I lose access to the admin dashboard, I can remove the bad code from the file. I didn't know if you put really bad code into the code snippets, if you lose access to the dashboard, how do you recover?
Well, your code just goes to your FTP.
No, because it's not an FTP. If it's in this, if it's in that code snippets plugin, I guess is what I was thinking.
Right, but
you'd FTP.
You could still use your FTP to go to the code snippet and just rename.
Deactivate it. Yeah. That would be a smart thing to do, and then you could. But then you'd still, how do you reactivate it and get rid of the bad snippet? And then that could take out all your.
Right, revert. Keep a backup of the original snippet file, and then revert it.
Is it saving a snippet file though? That plugin.
Yes, it will always have a saved version.
In that snippets, let me yeah, I guess I'll have to look at where it saves those to.
Yeah, get the path to the snippet and you should be able to see it.
Oh, well, that's really good to know that if there's a file, then that's not a problem.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's easy enough.
Angela, this is Steve Richard. I came across a little plugin called WooCommerce Custom Product Add-Ons. I'll put it in the chat, but if ACF is a 300-pound gorilla, this one's about a 50-pound gorilla. But it's really easy for customers to use. It doesn't do everything ACF does, but it's worth a look if you want something simple.
It is. That is a good plugin. I've actually used that before. It is very good.
And it's more of a one-trick pony.
Sharing that.
It's more of a one-trick pony as opposed to ACF, but it's real easy to use. And this little nonprofit just took it, and I spent about an hour with them, and they ran with it and haven't been a problem since.
Yeah, I think the ACF is good for real custom templating. Like I have clients who have they want columns with product benefits and kind of more like that Lululemon thing where they've got all these kind of product features and things that they want. And then they also might want video, and we got to work that into a template. So it's kind of ACF, I would say, is more for templating, purposes with a lot of extra content fields templated in a very specific, unique design. Which is what I get handed things by designers, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I have a quick question. You mentioned earlier about something called dynamic content for Elementor. Is there a way you can show me a quick example how to use that? Because that's the first time I'm seeing that plugin.
Oh, the other, yeah, sure.
It's something real quick. I know we're out of time.
Yeah, yeah, no, I can do that real quick.
I think you had a link, Angela, in the last slide that looked like it was at WP Tuts on YouTube, and he does a lot of stuff with dynamic.
Yeah, with the dynamic, yeah. So you wouldn't want to use dynamic content and dynamic conditions at the same time. So
I do.
Oh, you do, because they both do dynamic conditions, so that's why.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need both. And dynamic content actually includes dynamic conditions now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. So you don't need to have both. If you have dynamic conditions, you don't need. If you have dynamic content, you don't need dynamic conditions. But in my sites where I'm not needing the hefty weight of dynamic content, I use dynamic conditions instead. And so on the templates, hopefully I didn't just break my. Sometimes when you have a widget that you don't have the plugin installed for anymore, it kind of breaks things. But in this case, it didn't. Yay! So here's this conference favorite. Maybe I've done something where I could have added some. I'm trying to think of an example of where you might add some styling that if that custom field weren't filled out, then you'd end up with this blob of nothing data. So dynamic conditions is nice, where you can go to the advanced tab and say if that ACF field tagline is I want to hide if that field is empty. So I don't want to output this whole container with the paragraph margin or whatever there is on my template if that's empty. So that's an example of using dynamic conditions. Another example would be on our category page here. I think this might be a really good example. Instead of the fallback image, maybe what we say for this whole section is if that banner image is, we want to hide this whole section if that banner image is empty. And in that case, we wouldn't have the fallback image. We just don't want it to show if that's empty. And then maybe the corresponding condition to that, and I have done this on real sites, is we have another title here. And then the condition for that is if that ACF banner image is empty, show this title instead. So if I did all that right, t-shirts. Yeah, so t-shirts did not have a banner image, so it's going to hide that whole banner thing. Whereas the this clothing one did, so it's going to show it. The hoodies didn't, so it's going to hide it. So that's what the dynamic conditions can be. There's a lot of conditions you can use besides hiding, showing based off of ACF values, but that's just one common example.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Great.
All right.
Well, hope you all have a nice evening. I hope to see you again.
Thank you very much, Angela.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Great.
you.
Talk to you later. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
And anybody else have any comments, questions before we finally sign off?
Yeah.
All righty. Well,
See
thanks
you
again,
soon.
Angela. And everybody for hanging in there. We're going to post the link to the recording before the weekend's over. It very well may be tomorrow, and I'll send that out. And also, I'll also send a link to the slides that Angela has. I think she had some updating she wanted to do. But the link will still be the same. I'm
The
guessing.
link will be the same. Yeah, I just have to, looks like I need to fix one little thing in my code snippet, not confuse people.
Okay. All righty.
Great.
Well, thank you everybody for coming, and y'all have a great rest of the evening. Take care.
Thank
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That was great.
Bye.
Gary, quick last thing.
Yes, sir.
It's not allowing me to print the chat. How do you print the chat? I've been able to do it in the past where I could save it, but it's not giving me the option to save it.
Well, it automatically creates a chat file when we're recording it.
Oh, it does. Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't have to save
If
it
you'd like
myself.
me to, yeah, let me stop recording.
Yeah, if you could email it to me or send it to me, I just maybe we can start storing the files because I have always saved the